Now, by the way, we brought our cat, Mariano, black and white, kind of Norwegian forest cat look-alike, long-haired. Gosh, he's sitting right under me.
He's a big cat. He's here with us.
He's a cool cat.
He is. Okay.
Looking around.
So, guys, it is Saturday, and we are up and going. And when you're building something that you love, it is not an obligation. It is a joy to be building, even on a time when you could potentially not be. You know, you don't have to be, but that's the difference between being an entrepreneur, building something, running your business, and working for someone else, is that you have this like juice, this excitement to just build what you're building and help who you're helping. And it's amazing versus that mindset of like, oh, I'm not good. It's my day off. I'm going to be sleeping in. I'm going to be doing this. It's like, no, I'm building something. This is so exciting. And in return, it does give you freedom when you want freedom as well. But it's just amazing. It's just so amazing. I've been helping agents. I've been talking to agents all morning. I was talking to an agent at 10 o'clock at night. I don't have to do that. Yes. Damn. We're always texting. I don't have to. I could set more boundaries, but I enjoy it. And I'm just juiced to be helping all of the beautiful agents in our network at Real Broker that we sponsor and mentor. And it's not a burden to me. I don't have to. They understand if I'm not texting them back at, 10 o'clock p.m. They get it. They're not over here like, I want to.
All right. Mariah feels pretty jacked this morning. We all get it.
Yeah.
She's in a great mood. Sometimes I'm in a good mood too. And the one thing that is different, I don't have my coffee next to me. Gosh dang it. But it's not the end of the world.
Did you drink it yet?
Yeah, I did drink a cup of coffee.
You already drank it? Oh.
Yeah, I could use another one, just saying. But it is what it is. I do think today's topic is really important. We have a very, very important topic going on today.
We do.
And this is new, but it's not new at the same time. Yeah. There's the number one question that clients always ask you, whether it's a seller or buyer. Yeah. And that number one question always comes to deal with money. The money talk. Yeah. I think we're going to have to go through this one today.
You guys, this is something that we're talking about today that has been so overcomplicated, and hopefully by the end of today's episode, it will be simplified for you. Today's episode is actually geared toward agents, because I get asked about this by new agents all the time. Agents overcomplicate it. 2, it's for buyers and maybe even sellers as well. If you're wanting to buy or sell, this is for you as well, because this is something that buyers are confused about. Buyers have questions and concerns about. And guys, we're talking about buyer's agent commission. This has changed. Many of the agents I talk to on a daily basis are new enough to where they've never been in the business back when it was different. And it's only been, not even 2 years yet, a year and a half.
Just approaching 2 years.
At the time of filming this episode, it's been about that long since this changed. Now, let's just explain just a little bit of background for you guys so you understand what we're talking about here. So previously, 2 years ago, let's just say, before this NAR settlement happened, also quick disclaimer, we are not giving legal advice. This could differ state to state. This does differ a little bit state to state. So what we're saying, take with a grain of salt, ask your principal broker if you're an agent for clarification.
We're trying to help you through situations.
No, we're not giving legal advice, but we are hopefully clarifying this. So back 2 years ago, for example, if I was an agent and I was going to be writing an offer for my buyer, the commission that I was getting paid or would be getting paid is going to be in the MLS. So that means when I pull up the listing to go get the information before I show it, it says right here what the commission is. Let's say it's 2%, 2.5%, whatever it is, whatever the seller is willing. The seller decides up front, this is what we're going to give the buyer's agent for their commission. So now, since this settlement, and I'm not going in depth on this, I'm not illegal explaining this, whatever, this is just in simple terms. So since things, because a lot of agents that I talk to genuinely and buyers don't know. So since things changed, now we are not allowed as listing agents to say a certain commission or even that we're offering commission to the buyer's agent in the listing agreement. That means some sellers might say, I'm not offering buyer's agent commission. And we'll get into this. We'll get into that, trust me. But it also means that if I'm wanting to ask for myself to get paid by the seller, which is still protocol here, I'm going to write it in the offer. Okay, so now that's just the gist of how things have changed and how it looks different in a nutshell a little bit. Let's get into what this might look like for you as a buyer, some of your concerns as a buyer and some of your concerns as an agent talking, because I also hear it from agents talking about my buyer doesn't want to sign this. How do I present this buyer's agent agreement to my buyer? So we have a lot to cover. So I just talked a lot. You get into this.
No, I think one of the hardest parts is how do you communicate this new agreement, the buyer's agency exclusive agreement, with your client, the buyer client? Because in this agreement, it really does sound daunting. It's scary. It literally says, hey, I'm choosing you to represent me, and you have to give this timestamp, meaning your contract for a month, 2 months, 3 months, solely exclusively with that buyer client. And then there's this portion where you have to put your commission or your fee involved for whatever transaction you help that buyer on. What I don't like about this agreement is I used to actually write in the additional lines, which we can do, but honestly, my principal broker said, Spencer, don't do this, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe it was illegal. I don't know. But when it first came out, I used to always write buyer's agency commission to be solely paid for by the seller. The problem is we don't know what house we're going to be writing an offer on. We don't know what house or if the seller is willing to pay that buyer's agency's commission. So the buyer is really hesitant to sometimes sign this exclusive agreement between you and them for your representation.
Also backtrack though really quick, because I think for a new agent or even a buyer, they might be confused about what even is the buyer agency agreement. This is just a agreement that since this NAR settlement, things changed in real estate 2 years ago or so, it is now illegal for an agent to show, and this could differ state by state, but pretty much overall, it is illegal for an agent to show houses to a buyer without having this thing signed. It's called the buyer agency agreement. Basically, it says you're working with me exclusively. Previously, buyers would call the agent on the for sale side. Maybe they shouldn't. They should always work with an agent, but now it's protecting them from doing that. So we can later get into even like the pros and the cons, how it's actually benefited the industry and how it's maybe hurt it. But you keep saying what you're saying. I just wanted to clarify what the buyer's agency agreement even is.
So that form, it's necessary in any real estate transaction,
have to have it signed.
But also for any agency client relationship. So if you need to go show a house with an agent, guess what? That agent has to get this form signed by you in order to even show this house now. So it's just this piece of paper. And the initial thing that I always advise to my client is this. I say, hey guys, I have to get this signed. If it doesn't work out between me and you after this showing, maybe we part our ways. There's a termination. I'm going to send to you right away. You sign it, or I'm going to rip up this piece of paper. I physically will bring them the piece of paper too sometimes if I need to just rip it up if that were to be the case. Here's the funny thing is I've never had anybody fire me. I've never had to rip up this paper, but it's just that clear understanding of, guys, this is just a new law that's set, and this is the way business is conducted now.
Because they see that expiration on you do have to have a expiration, like how long you're working together. Let's say it's 6 months out. They see that and they're like, well, I'm stuck working with you for this amount of time. So I always do say that as well. And I think it helps them we've never really had people, for the most part, hesitant to sign it, because we do say, if you're unhappy with our services, if something changes, we'll rip it up at any time. The contract's null and void. You don't owe us a penny, even if it's before expiration.
Well, I don't think buyers or clients in general, even sellers, I tell sellers often on my listing appointments, guys, yes, we have this listing agreement and it's for 2, 3, maybe even 6 months, whatever the timeline may be. You can fire me at any time. I'm going to send you a termination. I'm not going to send you a withdrawn. If you want to move on, you don't like my services, I'm a liar, I'm unethical, whatever it may be, that doesn't happen.
No.
See what I mean? But I tell them there is a way out of the contract. What I feel like other agents don't do,
they don't
maybe because they're afraid or something, is, hey, you can fire me at any time. Okay. Now,
so agents don't say that because they're scared maybe of it actually happening, but they don't realize that's actually something that I believe is going to help them be more likely to sign with you, because they feel comfortable and they know. Anyway, keep going.
So this is just that piece of paper, right? So I always fill in, I don't want to, I'll share it. I'm a 3%. I'm a 3% buyer's agency commission guy. Okay. Now, say we send an offer. In my offer, there's always a section now in the sale agreement what sellers will contribute towards your buyer's agency's commission. I write 3%. Okay. Now, for whatever reason, let's say the seller counters back and says, you know what, I'm only going to pay 2.5%. Okay. If that works for me as the agent, I will say, okay, and I'm actually giving my buyer a discount of 0.5%. At the end of the day, in a $500,000 real estate transaction, that's like $2,500. So I get it. Some sellers look at that as a big chunk of coin. I look at it as, hey, how can I now fight for my commission that is now no longer negotiated between seller and seller's agent? It really, to me, doesn't have much to do with the deal, because we all know, you as a buyer, you're not gonna pay out of pocket your agency's commission. You're just not. You're not necessarily ever gonna finance it into your mortgage either. Right now, we're just not there, I believe, as an industry. 98.7% of sellers in my area, in Oregon,
in our area, let's just clarify, it could be different in yours.
They're paying for this buyer's agency's commission. So whenever I get a buyer say, well, Spencer, I don't want to sign this because then it means I'm going to be stuck in with you. No, that's not the case, because don't you remember that conversation that you and I have just had? Is I'm only going to get paid for through the seller, not you. Okay, period. And now if you need that in writing, I will put it in the writing in that exclusive agency agreement. But what you don't understand, buyers, as you're initially signing this exclusive agreement, meaning that contract between you and I, the relationship, your buyer's agent, you're choosing me to represent you, I'm honoring you, you're honoring me, I'm solely going to represent you in a real estate transaction, is when we submit an offer, there is a clear section, guys. It's a very clear section, and we are going to put the percentage there in that offer, okay? So then that eliminates all of your agency's commissions. That's just the way it is to conduct business now. That's the problem. It's just added an additional step that now we're having to educate clients with, and that's partly why this video is really important. It's nobody trying to twist your arm and take your money. Now, what I can tell you is not every agent's the same as me. I know brokerages in our area, big teams especially, because they have like 15 team members. They get tons of leads. These leads sometimes don't end up to closings. So they don't want to waste their time, and they'll actually make you sign a buyer's agency agreement with a fee involved, even if you don't close on a transaction, just to compensate the agent for their time.
Maybe you should work with better type of leads then, and figure out how to get leads in a better way instead of working with really low quality leads.
Well, it's just a business structure.
If that's the case. It's a business structure, but I'm just saying you don't have to have that structure if your lead quality is there.
And when it comes to different types of agents, that's just the type of agents we are. I'm not there as an agent to really hurt you as a buyer, first-time home buyer a lot of the times, VA, zero-down home buyer. So if that's you listening to this, understand that there are brokers that might make you sign an exclusive agency agreement, and you're going to be held accountable for that transaction. You will be held accountable. Now, that's your conversation to have with them. What I generally will have is, I'm only going to get paid for whatever the seller can agree to pay for so I can put food on my table, so I can get my mortgage paid. At the end of the day, I cannot work for free. Okay. And when we submit an offer, this is how it's going to work. And generally, 98.7% of sellers are paying for this buyer's agency's commission, okay? So we do not have to sweat about the what ifs. Let's get to the 2% category if they reject our offer because of commission being paid towards your buyer's agent. Let's get down that route when we get there, okay? And that's the way to do that is, though, you submit an offer, the buyer's agency's commissions in that offer, like I mentioned earlier. The seller will counter back. The seller will say, you know what, we're all good with all the other things, the sales price, us paying for a portion of the closing costs, these items be left with the home. The closing date looks great to us, but there's this one problem. Your agency's commission is just a little too high. Or, hey, we're not going to pay a single dollar of your agency's commission. Okay, well, if they're not willing to pay for my commission, I can't work for free. So I'm going to have a conversation with the buyer. I will.
Exactly. And here's what I always say.
I'll have to.
If buyers do ask, because agents, if you have a buyer that's concerned and won't sign the contract, or you're concerned about presenting it to them, here's what I always say. Buyers, if we get to the point where the seller says, I will not pay the buyer's agent commission. We can rip up our contract. It's null and void. You don't owe me anything. And you can choose to buy the house unrepresented if you want. And I don't have to be involved and I don't have to get paid. That's what I say and how I handle it. Another thing I do want to add for agents, because here's the thing. I can say, honestly, like 99% of the buyers I've worked with over the last year, since this has come to place last couple of years, have been first-time buyers who could not afford to pay the commission if it came down to that. And I knew it going into this transaction. And I still chose to work with them and represent them in faith that the seller would pay me my commission. And they always have. I've never run into that issue because here's the thing. I did get this question from an agent, a really sweet agent that I am so grateful to get to have in my real estate world. This agent was asking me though, she was saying, I'm having this issue with a buyer client of mine. I've already put in a lot of work for them and I'm about to put in a whole lot more. This buyer told me, they said, I am not willing to pay. I'm not willing to sign an agreement that says that that if the seller doesn't pay your commission, that I will pay it, because I'm already spending every penny. I don't have a penny to pay your commission. And so this agent did explain to them that the odds of that happening are so low. We always see, sellers basically still paying the commission. This is like a very, very, very small what if. They still didn't want to sign it. And so she didn't want to work with them because she doesn't want to work with them because there's that little what if of what if we don't get paid. What I would say is, for me, I would still work with them if it were me, because that what if is so small. I think it's still worth it. And I think that's just part of being an entrepreneur and being in real estate, is like, there's always going to be what ifs. There's always that, like, am I putting in a little work and like, there's maybe I don't get paid, but like, we really, especially for newer, we really can't think of it like that. It's really like this thing where it's like, okay, I'm either learning, I'm growing, or I'm creating opportunity for the next client, because maybe this client didn't work out, but they're going to lead to another client that's going to be an even better commission. Or maybe this client didn't work out, but I got so much content from working with them that leads me to 10 more clients. Like, that's the way I think of this business. We really can't honestly think of it as of like, oh, am I wasting my time? That's just my personal opinion. That's how I've always run my business. And I don't think I would have made a successful business when I was 18 if I didn't think of it that way, because I would have wasted a lot of time.
That's really good though, because
that's my mindset. That's, don't take it or leave it. That's my mindset.
It's so good. It's so good, because here, this form has really caused so much confusion.
This form is causing all the drama.
I wrote an offer last night, guys.
Yeah.
I wrote an offer. Did great offer as well.
Yeah.
Asking sellers to contribute closing costs, everything.
Yeah.
Great furniture items being included in the home sale.
Yeah.
But yet the buyer still had hesitancies of signing the contract because they saw a percentage they were unaware of, even though in the email of offer description, complete offer breakdown, it shared with them, I will only be paid what the seller is willing to pay me. Which
is valid though, because the buyer sees this fee, they calculate how much it is, and they think of like the contract is a little bit confusing if you don't know it. And it sounds like it's saying like, could potentially get stuck paying this. But
my point is, guys,
I get it. It's valid.
My point is, you can be as clear as day.
Yeah.
Okay. Agents, you can be as clear as day. You can write it in an email. You can say it on a phone call. But you're still going to get the question. You're still going to get well, Spencer, I don't want to pay this. No, you don't have to. You don't have to. And here's why. You go back to the contract. This is the verbiage. And then, hey, guess what? I've been in the industry for 11 years. Look at my ratings. Look at my reviews. Do you think I would be a reputable, ethical realtor if I was looking to scam you in any way? Would that make much sense? I would have a terrible review if I stuck the buyer with a bill of $10,000.
Yeah,
there's just no way, man.
Yeah, I would never.
And so another thing that like I see it as a distrust whenever I get a question from my own client like that. But I got to remember, I'm an educator. I have to educate the client in the real estate industry. Yeah. And so I can't get so upset and my feathers being ruffled. Like I do take this stuff personally. When people start asking about my own contract that I'm writing for them to get the best deal, I start to get annoyed because I'm like, just sign this agreement because I'm looking to present this to the seller for you.
Because you have their best interest in mind. And when people like question that or doubt that just because you're like a realtor,
my gosh.
It's a little like, come on, guys.
It does make my blood boil.
Yes, but I get it. People sometimes don't always trust realtors.
But when you're working with first-time home buyers, but buyers in general that haven't bought a home in the last 5 to 10 years, this is a new agreement, guys.
Yeah.
And so I truly do believe there's an education process to take.
Yeah.
But what I like to do, though, is be very upfront with it and say, hey, you know what? I only will get paid what the seller is willing to pay me.
Yeah.
Has that statement gotten me in trouble before? I know I'm going to get a comment. I know somebody's going to say, well, Spencer, what if the seller doesn't want to pay you? Well, to be honest, that just won't be a contract I can probably work with. And if the buyer can't afford to pay me, guys, that's part of negotiation.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Mm-hmm. In a listing appointment, I state it like this. Hey, seller, I'm willing to list your house, but it's going to be at 3%. A seller says I can only do 1.5%. I'm going to have to walk. And here's why. If I can't even negotiate my own commission to put food on my table, to understand the worth and the value that I have in myself and my business and what we have created, then how do you think I'm going to expect to negotiate on your behalf to save you the tens of thousands of dollars? So in a way, you are paying for the realtor representing you, whether you are a seller or a buyer. And to me, that's really important to understand. That's a really important conversation. That's not stating something out of too much confidence by any means.
Yeah.
I know my worth.
Yeah.
And if a seller is wanting to downgrade your commission, you're just lowering yourself to an industry standard that honestly will phase in the next 10, 15 years if you're that agent taking things at 1.5%. There's situations.
There are situations, yes.
But what I am saying is the majority of your listings should still be at 3%. If you're representing the buyer, I have made more money on the buyer's end since this new law came into effect than I ever had in the last 8 years. Ever. I don't know if that's because sellers aren't aware of how to negotiate this percentage. I don't know if they're scared of, hey, they're going to walk if I'm not willing to pay, because the reality is the buyer can walk on a contract if the seller doesn't agree to the offer term.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying if the seller isn't willing to pay the buyer's agent's side of the commission, it's a discussion to have with you and your buyer client and say, what do you want to do here?
Yeah.
I know I can negotiate my commission to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I will not go below a certain number, and I'm not here to tell you what that number is.
And that number could be different for you because maybe you're brand new and you're like, I just got to get my business off the ground. And then that's the season you're in. You should take whatever. You know what I mean? I think you should get this business off the ground because it can be a hustle. It's really competitive. And sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get things rolling.
But if you're having a problem getting your buyer to sign an agreement, I think that's where a lot of people are coming in. I think a lot of people are having this issue.
Yeah.
And it's partly because of how unclear that agreement is.
Yeah.
Write in the additional sections exactly how you want it. However you want. Whether you're owed that 3% no matter what, whether you're owed that flat fee for showing homes. I don't know what your brokerage is like. I can tell you what it's like for me. I could not ethically have somebody pay me even $500 for showing them 5 homes and never writing an offer on it.
No.
It just doesn't.
I would never do that.
Doesn't work for me. But I can promise you there are brokerages that are like that. There are teams that do that.
Yeah.
There are agents that do that. And by the way, there's buyer's agents that simply will not go below a percentage. Even if we submit an offer, the seller declines it, you as the buyer will be paying that commission no matter what.
Yeah.
Now, is that the agent saying, hey, I know my worth and I'm worth it? I don't know. I think you as the client, the buyer, has to select the right person to represent you. And if no agents made videos like this to educate a buyer, maybe that's how you're finding us today. I know it's a simple conversation and it's workable. And the majority of our conversations go like this. I'm only going to work for what the seller's going to pay me, because I'm not here to put you through an even harder economic market.
Exactly.
An unaffordable market because of this agency's commission. My job, it's here to put some food on the table, but also my job is to get people homes. My job is to negotiate with our experiences in the real estate industry.
we're negotiating our own commission for ourselves.
Exactly.
But we're also, it's how we feed our family. It's how Mariano, I'm looking at him, gets his cat food. But we are also negotiating for our buyers. And if you are an agent, it is your responsibility to negotiate for your buyers. I want to see my buyer getting everything that they want to get and getting a good deal, walking away feeling like, wow, my closing costs are paid for. Feels so good. However, there are markets when negotiating like that for your buyers is actually doing them a disservice. And these buyers might be thinking, wow, you guys just want to get paid. You guys just want to get a commission because you're advising me to offer 10,000 over 20,000 over ask price and not ask for this and this and this. But we are writing offers all the time and we know the market, whatever it's like right now. It's not like that right now, by the way. But if it was like that, then we are telling you that it's only because we have your best interest in mind and we know the market. It's not because we want you to get an offer accepted.
Slow down. I can't understand you. What was that again?
We want you to get an offer accepted. It's not because if I talk, people like when you talk fast because I listen to everything on 2.0 speed. So you're welcome for not wasting your time.
I have this headset on. I'm trying to follow.
You can go back if you miss anything. But anyway, it's important to be negotiating, obviously for yourself, but even more so, we're negotiating for our buyers. So real quick though, before we end, unless you have anything else to add, I'm thinking of this super sweet agent that I love in California that I was chatting with the other week. Are
you needing Spencer advice?
What?
Are you wanting Spencer advice?
I'm wanting Spencer advice. She was asking me.
I want to make sure to pay attention.
Yes. Please, don't zone out right now. Don't think about the ocean.
So true.
Think about what I'm saying.
These thoughts in the head,
Think about this. Okay, so this agent I was talking to she's in California. So she was saying, Mariah, I'm so frustrated because I have this buyer that I really want to work with. I've been so excited to work with them, like all of the things, and they will not sign my buyer's agency agreement because they don't want to be stuck with one agent. They don't want to be stuck only working with me. They don't want to be trapped. They will not sign this buyer's agency agreement. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, if someone is, learn how to explain it well, watch some videos about it, educate yourself about it. You don't have to be the expert before you can do that. Just do what you can. But at the same time, also explain it in a way to like, you're not making it a big deal because it's not, so they won't make it a big deal. But if you are doing all of that, and like this agent was, and the buyer still will not sign, in my mind, that's going to be the client from hell that you are dodging a bullet not working with. Would you agree? What would you say to this agent who's asking you that? Oh,
man.
That's my opinion.
Like I mentioned, I mean, when I'm writing a beautiful contract for you, representing you, and now you're not signing it because of this agency agreement or even the little details that are addendum changes, remember, if you're not trusting your real estate professional, that's going to be a red flag for me. Like a lot of my clients, they trust me and what I value and what I say to them, and that's what's going to get them to the closing table writing the best deal and offer that was made for them.
Yeah.
And I'm exactly on the same page as you, Mariah. If people are just wanting, taking, and then you're kind of, sitting here not getting anything out of it either, I don't think they're valuing you. I don't think they're valuing your professionalism, your services that you're offering.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, it sounded like a lot of them were free already.
And maybe they're not even that serious. Maybe they're not that serious and they're wasting your time.
So I remember this when I had to kind of sift through a lot of clients, and this is when you were buying Zillow leads, those type of things, and doing all the expired listing calls and saving everyone as a lead rather than a true lead. I had to sift through who was legit, who's not legit, because that ultimately is costing you money, all of the time and effort and energy and car rides and gas, and then you name it. Okay, we need to understand how to pinpoint and get to the direct answers quickly. I have been with clients where it's hard. It's hard to decipher, and especially when you have put in so much effort and work already into it. Where's the point of no return? I've totally shown way too many homes to some clients that had never bought before. I mean, I'm talking 30 plus homes, dude.
But I have also I feel like I'm always telling you this. If you're ever get to the point where you're like, I think I'm going to fire this client. I'm done. I've sold them I've been working with them for so long. I'm always reminding him of this. I feel like there's been so many times when this doesn't happen much anymore because I really do believe the quality of your leads and clients, this goes down. This is rare now. This was common for when we were new, but now this is actually extremely rare. So don't think this is like
happened like once in the last year and a half for me.
Yeah, this is not common. However, I'm always reminding him that every time that's happened to me where it's like, okay, I've done all this work, I'm about to just like drop this client, they can work with someone else, I'm wasting my time. It's been right at that moment that they decide to make an offer. And so I always tell him, if you quit now, you've wasted all that time. But if you know what I mean? But if you don't, you're like one house away, potentially. Sometimes it's not like that, but that's what I always remind him.
So to get back to your client,
anyway,
though, thank you.
Yeah.
No,
sorry,
I hear you.
Little
I hear you.
Tangent there, yeah.
You got to learn to when to drop.
Yeah.
When to know when to hold them.
Yeah.
Know when to fold them. It's the same type of game, it's poker.
Yeah. Okay,
Not the best singer. Okay, anyways. If you haven't verified the client, verify them. Talk to their lending team. Talk to if it's coming all from a cash sale, as they always say, make sure you're the listing agent then, so at least you're double ending it. Because if they're not even selecting you to be the listing agent and you're in the same town, I think that's a red flag. Because you as the listing agent would give you the, what's it called? The motivation to get their home sold for them to buy something new. So have those simple conversations in the verification process. But if you're already past that and now they're looking at homes, they won't sign this buyer's agency agreement, that's a red flag. That's an issue. That's a distrust. That's them not valuing you. Now, if you haven't clearly stated what this agreement means and what you will be doing later on down the road, like we mentioned earlier, I'm pretty upfront. Yeah, the buyer's agency agreement says this percentage, but I promise you this percentage will be listed in the offer on the seller's contribution side. And if they're willing to sign it then they are usually workable. So I think if you haven't been clear and direct, be a little bit more clear, understanding I will only take whatever the seller is willing to offer. Now, if the seller isn't willing to offer anything, me and you can have a further conversation down the road when we are actually submitting offers.
Yeah.
But we got to get there first. This doesn't make any sense. We're running through hoops right now. We're wasting time.
Yeah.
Now, if they're wasting time, I'd say that's a bad client for you. Maybe dump them.
Yeah. Well, I don't have anything else to add. I feel like we've, covered the main. There's always things you could add, but I feel like we've covered the main things on this topic.
Hey guys, I want to know if you're an agent listening to this video, I want to know how you are structuring your buyer agency agreements.
Please let us know.
Are you doing the flat rate fee? Are you doing the
know.
percentage? Is buyers sticking to only paying you, or are you having the seller pay for your own commission?
Yeah.
Let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts, because in our specific area, it's quite rare that a buyer is paying for their own agency's commission. It's just unaffordable. So if that is you, I want to know about it. Educate me. I am not Mr. Know-It-All. I know how I practically structure my contracts, my real estate deals, my representation agreements. And we're just trying to bring that, because I know that is a lack of today's market. People don't understand or know, whether you're the buyer's agent or the buyer in particular. Sellers, you only negotiate now with your seller's agent, which is cool, but in that listing appointment, I am being pretty clear. Yeah. Hey, seller, we're going to get an offer. In that offer, odds are it's going to ask for that buyer's agency's commission to be paid for, because I can't negotiate that with you right now. It's not there. It's a make-believe rule now.
Yeah.
So I'm at 3%, but expect something to be coming back at 2.5%.
Yeah,
now,
that's kind of how we do
that's today's basic percentage on buyer's agency. So just realize that. And clear communication.
Yeah.
Real estate comes through clear communication. You want good reviews? Go have good communication.
It's true.
Booyah.